Hey guys, what's going on? This is Atharva here, and today we're going to see how to use Stripe with Next.js for subscriptions. So a lot of people DM me after looking at my Stripe video which I uploaded like a few months ago, and they asked me how to use subscriptions. So this is the video. I will tell you how to make subscriptions using Stripe. The process has changed a little, so I'll make sure that the process is latest and you are learning the latest thing right now. Before we start, I want to tell you like I am at 726 subscribers right now, and my aim is to reach 1000 in next 2 months. So I don't know if that's possible or not. I'll just ask you, if you guys like my content, just consider hitting the subscribe button to show some support. So yeah, without wasting any time, let's go into the demo. So this is a very basic application. As we see here, we have our name and email address. So I'll just autofill this, and we are using the test version of Stripe, so we can just use 42424242 card number to use the test card. And once we click on subscribe, this should take some time, and it will show us a pop-up that the subscription is created. So let's wait for the pop-up. So it says payment successful, subscription active. Now let's go back to the payments. Here in our Stripe, we will go to subscriptions, and here we will see that my email has popped up, and if we click on this, we will get more information about the subscription. So we will see that the amount has been deducted, the invoice has been paid. So yeah, this subscription works, and every month this payment will be renewed and 5 rupees will be deducted. Since this is a test account, it won't do anything actually, but yeah, if it were a live account, your users will get debited 5 rupees every single month for this. So yeah, let's go ahead and make this from scratch. So this is our terminal. First of all, we are going to create a new Next.js application. So we will say npx create next app Stripe sub yt. So if you are wondering how did this autocomplete, this is warp terminal. This is very cool. You can just download it if you want to, and this is for macOS, I guess. So yeah, npx create next app Stripe sub yt. I'll just click on enter, and this will start installing our Next.js application. Let's wait for this to complete, and then we have some packages to install. Perfect, the Next.js application is created. Now let's cd into it. So I'll say Stripe sub yt. Perfect, and now we need to install 3 packages. So since Next.js is a both client and server side framework, we will be using both of the packages, client side and server side. So we are going to say yarn add, because Next.js by default uses yarn now. So we will say Stripe.js. Then second, we need for React package, so we'll say Stripe React Stripe.js, and then we just need the Stripe package. So first package is the basic JavaScript SDK for Stripe, second is some hooks for Stripe for React, and the third one is a simply backend package. So we are going to press enter, and this will start installing the packages. And after this gets installed, we are just going to say code dot, and this should fire up Visual Studio Code. If you are using some other code editor, you just need to run the command to open that. And now that we are here, first of all, let's go and create our new .env.local file. Before doing anything, we are just setting up our private keys and publishable keys. So first we will say next public. We are using next public because we want this environment variable to be accessed by the front end and not just by the back end. So we'll say next public Stripe publishable key, and now here we will go ahead and we will go to developers, we will go to API keys, and we will copy the publishable key, and we will just paste it in here. Now the next variable we need is Stripe secret key. So this is only for backend, so we are not using next public because this key is very sensitive. You should keep it secret most of the time. So yeah, I'm not going to do this right now because it is meant to be private, right? So I will just fill this off screen. Just fill in your private key, and yeah, I'll see you after I have done this. Okay, so I have just filled my Stripe private key. I won't be showing that in the stream. So yeah, let's go back to our terminal and run this app. So we'll say yarn dev, and I'll press enter. Perfect. Now let's go here and refresh this page. Yeah, perfect. Welcome to Next.js. This is the boilerplate for Next.js. I will just drag this here so that we can just switch between code and browser quickly. Perfect. Now let's create our payment form. Let's go to pages, index.js. Let's clean something up. We don't need anything from main till footer. We don't need any of that. And yeah, we won't be focusing on styling much in this tutorial because it's a completely different thing. I would make a portfolio tutorial very soon, so subscribe if you want to see that. So yeah, now here what we will do is we are just going to embed a new component here for payment form. So first of all, let's create a new component. We are going to go create a new folder. We'll call it components, and here we will make a new file. We will say payment form.js. Now here we will do rfce. Perfect. And we will leave it as it is for now. We will go back to index.js and we will say elements. Perfect. And now we will embed our payment form here. So this itself is not enough. We need to pass in our Stripe publishable key here. But how do we do that? We are going to go here on the top outside the component and we are going to say const Stripe promise is equal to load Stripe, and we are going to pass in a publishable key. In this case, our publishable key is stored in an environment variable. So process.env.next public Stripe publishable key. Perfect. Now we are going to pass in Stripe here and we'll say Stripe promise. Perfect. Now this payment form will have access to our Stripe publishable key and it can interact with the server or to the Stripe server. Perfect. Now we are going to first of all get two hooks here. So the two important hooks we need are like const Stripe is equal to use Stripe and const elements is equal to use elements. So use Stripe hooks allows us to access to the Stripe servers. We can do a lot of different things using this, and use elements is a special hook which gives us access to card elements so that we don't need to collect payments using our own text boxes. Stripe provides their own text boxes so that we don't need to do anything. So yeah, first of all, let's focus on some important fields we need. So we need the customer name, we need the customer email because that's necessary in Stripe. So let's do that. We will create states for that. Actually, you know what, I'm just going to copy this because it's just going to take a lot of time. Yeah, so you can just pause the video, you can just write this. So basically we are just creating states so that we can map with input text boxes. Now here first of all we will create a new text box for name. So here we will say name, input type text, value should be name, and on change the set name should get updated so that it keeps track with the state. Perfect. Same we should do with email. So I'll just copy this. I don't want to spend a lot of time in layouts, so that's why I'm just copying these things. But when it comes to Stripe, I will try not to copy anything. So yeah. Now we need a new card element. So card element is something which Stripe gives us so that we don't need to create our own input boxes, as I said earlier. And this is pretty much very secure, so you don't need to worry about security and stuff. Stripe handles all of it. So yeah, and we will say again BR because we are not doing CSS here, and we will say button on click create subscription, and this button should say subscribe 5 INR. You can just replace it with whatever currency you have in your Stripe. My Stripe is configured with INR, so I just wrote INR here. Perfect. Now we need to create this function, so I'll just copy the name. We are going to say const and paste the name, and this should be an asynchronous function with a try catch block. So whenever you are using asynchronous function, remember to use try catch block always, 100% of the time. Console.error. So if there is some error, we will just console log it out, and then we will say alert. We will just going to do alert payment failed, and now we are going to pass in the error.message. So most of the time error.message exists and it will just show up here, so that we don't need to do a lot of error handling. Now in the try block, we won't be doing a lot right now. First of all, we will go and create the backend. So if we just save this and go back to our browser, you will see that this is created. Now this is way too right. I will just probably give this a width. So div style, we are going to give it a width of 40%, I guess. Yep, perfect. Now it's a lot nearer. You need to do styling by yourself. Yeah. So now let's go ahead and create the backend route. I'll just rename this one so that we don't need to create a new one. So I'll say subscribe.js, and this should be an export default asynchronous function instead of a regular function, and this should always have, oh hold on, try catch. Let's give it a try catch error and console.error, and then we will do response.status 500, and then that means internal server error, and we will pass in JSON object, and here we will say that the message is internal server error. Perfect. Now in the try block, what we need to do, let's look at a few things that we need to do here. First of all, we need to create a customer, then we need to create a product. So if you have already configured your products unit, you can just skip this step. We are just going through it, and we are considering how dynamic this should be, so that's why we are creating a product. But if you have fixed products, you can just configure it through Stripe dashboard. And then we are going to create a subscription, and then we are going to just like send back the client secret, so that the user can proceed with the payment. Now let's follow these steps we just wrote. First of all, we need to create a custom. Before doing any of that, we need to get the data right. First of all, we will check if the request.method, if the request.method is not equal to post, then we just deny the request. We'll just say return rest.status 400. That means bad request. We don't deal with this anymore. So now we will take a few things. Now these things are inputs from the React form which we made. So we'll say name, email, and payment method. So payment method we haven't introduced right now, but what it does is like whenever you are interacting with the card element, what Stripe will do, it will take this card details and give us a string which we can represent in our backend, so that the details are secure and no attacker can just take your payment details and do anything with it. So Stripe will just return us a string, and we are getting it here so that we can charge using that payment method. So yeah, first of all, let's create a customer with the data we already have. So const customer is equal to await. First of all, yeah, I also forgot this, we need to import Stripe, because when I reach to await, I just realized, oh, we don't even have Stripe initialized. So yeah, let's do that. Import Stripe. Perfect. Now we will do const Stripe is equal to new Stripe, and we'll pass in the the secret key. So process.env .stripe secret key. Perfect. And now we can just say await Stripe dot customers dot create, and then we will pass in a few details. So email, then name, then payment method should be payment method, and then we need to set a default payment method. So this is like a bit confusing, but I made this easier for you. So Stripe needs a default payment method so that they can deduct the initial subscription amount. So we will just say invoice settings, and we will say default payment method should be payment method. So remember that this payment method should always be in payment method and also in the default method, or else if you just put it in here, it will show error that this is not a valid payment method. You need to enter it. So yeah, now create a product. Again, this is optional. You can just go ahead and create it in your Stripe dashboard, but we are just doing here because it's easier to do. So yeah, const product is equal to await stripe dot products dot create, and we just need to pass in the name, nothing any special. So we'll just pass in monthly subscription. Perfect. Now we are going to create a subscription. Now this is going to be a long, not a long code, but long compared to all of the code we have written till now. So we are going to say const subscription is equal to await stripe dot subscriptions dot create, and here again we need to pass in some things. First of all, we'll pass in the customer. So the customer should be an ID, so we'll say customer dot ID, and then we need to pass in items. So this is very necessary. This is like, sometimes this is very confusing, but this is actually necessary. So we can just do price data so that you don't need to create a lot of products and prices in your dashboard. You can just dynamically do that here. So this should be an array, not an object, my bad. And there should be like an object here, and then we will say price data. And if you have a price ID, you can just do like price and just put in the ID here, but we are dynamically creating it here. So price data should be, first of all, we need to provide the currency, and in this case it should be the one which is configured in your Stripe. In my case it's INR, so I'll say INR. Then we will say product.id. No, we will pass in the product, so product.id. Then we need to pass in the unit amount. So basically this is like if you want to charge like $1, then you need to pass in 100 here. So it's like in cents, it's like in the secondary currency or something like that. So in INR it's like 500 means 5 rupees. So you just need to like multiply and divide by 10. You just need to calculate that every time. So yeah, now we will pass in the hold on, is something wrong? Yeah, I didn't provide a comma here. Then recurring, then you need to tell how does this recur. So is it monthly or is it yearly? So we'll say interval, and here you have options: day, month, week, year. So we'll just say month because this is a monthly subscription. Perfect. And then here after the items, you need to go ahead and provide some payment settings. So payment settings, okay, I again missed an arrow. Hold on, not an arrow, comma. So payment settings, then this should be an object with payment method types. And this is the new part in all of these things, like you never needed to create products before. You can just do subscriptions without these, but now Stripe has changed all of this, I guess, and this is very troublesome for some people, so I just made this video. So yeah, so payment method options, we just need card. We are not using any other method. And then we are going to use an option save default payment method, and this should be on subscription so that the payment method gets saved if it's already not. Perfect. And then we also need a property called expand so that we get the client secret. So by default it doesn't send us the client secret, but if we expand it will. So we will say latest invoice dot payment intent. So this has the client secret. Now the remaining is like the send back the client secret. Now we can just do res.json, and we will say message subscription successful, and then we will pass in the client secret. There should be subscription dot latest invoice dot payment intent, and now IntelliSense won't tell you, but there is a client secret property here. I hope you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. And this is not, this should be a comma, and then we will also, what is the problem here? Oh yeah, I always forget the comma for some reason. And then we will also pass in the subscription ID, subscription dot id. Perfect. So the backend is dealt with. Now we can just go back and deal with everything else. So first of all, we need to create a new payment method because we need to pass it in the request. So let's do that right now. So we will say const payment method is equal to await stripe dot create payment method, and here we can just pass in like type. The type is card, of course, and then we will pass in the card. So the card, you can't just get it like that. You need to like remember we imported use elements and use that here. We just say elements dot get element, and we will use the card element, and the card element is located here, so it will automatically detect the card element and just use the details. We don't need to do anything here. So yeah, now we have the payment method. Now we can just go ahead and make the request. So we'll do const response is equal to await fetch, and this request should go to API slash subscribe. Perfect. And we will provide the options. The first of all, the method should be post, then we need to pass in headers. The header is like we are passing in JSON objects, so we are going to say content type application JSON. Perfect. And then we are going to send in the body, so we are going to say body, and then we are going to say JSON dot stringify, and here we will just pass in our objects, so name, email, and payment method, and there should be payment method dot id. Perfect. Now after this, there are some scenarios like most of the time payment is done here, but some cards have something called as 3D secure. So 3D secure is an additional layer of security where you might have noticed that sometimes when you pay, the bank sends you an OTP on your phone to confirm that if it's really you. So sometimes that happens, and in India it's like very common. It happens in literally every transaction. So you need to do that on front end. You can't just do the transaction on back end and the payment will be approved first. So for that case, we are going to get the client secret back, and then we are going to confirm the payment. So if it's not already get confirmed, it will get confirmed now. So let's do that. So now first of all, we will check if the response is not okay, then we are just going to do alert payment unsuccessful, and then we are going to say const data is equal to await response dot JSON, because that's JSON data we are getting back. Now we are going to confirm the payment, so we'll say const confirm is equal to await stripe dot confirm card payment, and now here we need to pass in the client secret, so it's in data dot client secret. Perfect. And then most of the time, like if your card doesn't have 3D secure, the payment will be done right in the backend, so you don't need to worry about this, and this won't throw any error if the payment is already successful, so you don't need to worry about most of the things here. Then we will do if there is an error like confirm.error, like if the payment failed or something like that, then we will say alert, we'll say return alert payment unsuccessful, and if everything just goes well, we will just say alert payment successful, subscription active. So yeah, now let's go back to our app. Let's autofill everything. I'll just change the email so that it's not the same as before. We'll say h@h.com because it's test. It doesn't matter anyways. Now we are going to use some test cards provided by Stripe. So let's go here and let's go to the developers section here. Now we will say, first of all, we'll see the successful payment one. So we'll just copy that card number. We'll just paste this here. We'll just use dummy details here and we'll click on subscribe. So this will take some time. I know we didn't use like loading details. So why is the payment unsuccessful? Let's check our terminal if we get any clues here. So this says like payment settings, payment method options, unknown parameter, payment method options. Okay, so something is wrong here. Let's see. In the index.js file, in subscribe.js most probably payment method options. I guess I misspelled something. Hold on. I guess, oh yeah, it's payment method type, it's not payment method options. Small mistakes like these are like super lethal. Okay, now let's do that again, and this time it should be done. Again, it's not done. So yeah, it's like trial and error. Sometimes it works. You just need to find where the errors are there. So yeah, this customer has no attached payment source, and this is strange. Like we had a payment source, right? So we created a payment method here, then we just passed in the payment method ID here. Something wrong with that? Like we have payment method, the payment method is this, the default payment method is also that. I guess something is going wrong here. Yeah, okay, I messed up. I completely messed up. It's not payment method .id at all. It's like payment method. Sometimes I need to take care of IntelliSense, and then it's again payment method, and then it's ID. You just need to trust IntelliSense sometimes. I know it's like it's dumb, but sometimes just trust IntelliSense, I guess. Now let's try that again. I am sure that there will be some 10 errors, 10 different errors this time. Let's do that. Let's fix those errors, and if the transaction is successful somehow, I will be a happy person. So let's wait. Oh, payment successful. So this means that I'm a happy person. Okay, so yeah. We'll go to subscription. Now we have our edge at edge.com. We will say that the first invoice is automatically paid. So this was a card which didn't require 3D secure, but now let me show you a card which requires authentication. So this is a requires authentication card. So we'll just copy this. We'll go back here and just paste the card number here, and once we click on subscribe, it should pop up 3D secure and ask us if we really want to approve the transaction. So let's wait for that. Now this is the pop-up. Usually in this pop-up, banks will send you OTP and it will ask you to enter your OTP, but since this is just a test integration, we are just getting 2 buttons to simulate transaction. So if we just complete the transaction, it will just give the same pop-up again that the transaction is completed. But if we go ahead and fail this transaction this time, it will tell us that the subscription is failed. So let's wait for the pop-up again, and then we are going to click on fail authentication. Now once we click on fail authentication, it's going to take some time and it says a payment unsuccessful. If we go back here and refresh the page, I shouldn't have refreshed anyways. Okay, let's go back to payments, and if we go back to subscriptions, you see this one is incomplete because it never succeeded. So yeah, after some time it will go to failed or something like that, but for now it's like incomplete because 3D secure failed. So yeah, that's how this thing works. So yeah, this is how you create subscriptions in Stripe. If this video helped you, just consider clicking on the like button and subscribe buttons, so that it will help me reach my goal of 1000 subscribers more easily within the 2 months. And yeah, if you want to see something from me specific to like Web3 or Stripe or anything, you can just leave down in the comments below. Yeah, I know this video is like completely off to Web3, but like I don't want to be a completely Web3 channel, so I had a lot of videos on Web3 and I want to go back and want to remind YouTube algorithm that hey, this is not just a Web3 channel. We are like focusing on web development as a whole. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.